is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another season, another episode of the Legislative Director talking about legislative things. As always, she is back better than ever and ready to wreck shop over at the Statehouse. Legislative Director Amber Marr. With her, as always, not the Legislative Director Jason Topsy. I'm that character that left the show for a little while, came back because they needed that ratings boost. And then not the legislative director, Addison Pollock, who thought he was out and he got pulled back in. Welcome. Addison, Amber, it's been a minute since we've done one of these shows. It just feels right. It just feels right. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. It's good to be with you. What's new? What's happening?
Mr.
All right,
Legislative
cool.
Director?
Yep,
Go ahead.
Well, we have finished the second week of session, so I would say I'm doing well.
Good.
It's
Addison?
been fast and furious.
I'm good. This year's off to a great start. This show feels like home, so glad to be here.
That's what I'm talking about. See, look at this.
Feels great. Just breathe it in.
Like, look, this show just
We're
keeps
all
growing.
together. We're all
Yeah,
together.
it's just meant to be.
And in case anybody was curious, you can probably see me very clearly because my internet is better at the office.
She has made her triumphant return to downtown Indianapolis. Like I said, to wreck shop at the Statehouse and get those guys in line, guys and gals, which is always a challenge. So yeah, this is good. It's good to be back with you guys both. I missed doing this. It's good to be back in the mix. You know what? Here's what's funny is the sarcasm level is up 20% and probably profanity level is probably up like 50. So get that going for me. So anyway, we should probably get into what's happening at the Statehouse. Amber, we're on week 2 now. It's a short session, which means middle of March they get out of there. As we've spoken, if you're a long time watcher of the show, whenever we talk about during a short session, we talk about it. They try to cram in as much into a short session that they do in a longer session. And this year is no different. In fact, it maybe feels even worse. So that they're trying to do so much stuff before getting out of town. So what is it that there's a lot going on, but let's focus in on what we're kind of talking about, what we're working on at the Statehouse. So what do you got going on over there? What are you fighting the good fight for?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I'm really excited to get to talk about some of these bills, and some are really great and others are not so great. So we started session last Tuesday. Committees are off to a speedy start. Right out of the gate, there were committees starting on the day of session, and some were even held before session. So bills are still dropping, file lists are still being posted on the website. So while bills are coming through, committees are hearing bills. It's a little hard to keep track of things right now. But we're going to kick this off by saying we are watching and very much engaged in Senate Bill 369. It's titled the Marion County Public Transportation Corporation. You have heard us talk about this in the past. It is back with a vengeance. It is another bill that is trying to, derail all the progress that has been made or will be made for the Indigo bus system here in Marion County. And I will go ahead and, since I have always said I am not the expert, I'm going to toss this to Addison to sort of give us a little background on it, and he can also provide some of the things that we're doing grassroots wise and in our coalition. So Addison, I love that you're here with us, and thank you so much because you can speak to this a lot better than I can. So why don't you take it away?
That is not true, but I'm more than happy to give an overview, and Amber, feel free to jump in, and Jason, where I miss anything. So the Senate Bill 369, what this bill does is on on paper, it limits or prevents, or actually it prohibits dedicated lanes for transit lines outside of the mile square of downtown Indianapolis. So this is a bill targeting the Marion County, Indianapolis, and it prevents Indigo, the only public transportation corporation, from building transit lines that have dedicated lanes outside of the mile square, except for it excludes the red line, which is already built, and the purple line, which is construction's about to start on that this spring. So effectively, this bill targets the blue line, and even though it doesn't necessarily state that, it just that's what it does. That's its most immediate impact. And not only is it bad for Marion County, but it sets a pretty terrible precedent for other county in the state that wants to improve their transit systems and have dedicated lanes as part of a project. So this is just not a good does not send a good message for transit throughout the state. Um, what we're doing with our coalition is we're kind of monitoring where the bill will end up. Amber, did you talk about what committee it's in? I don't want to jump the
I
gun.
totally forgot to say that. So we were assuming that Senate Bill 369 would get assigned to the Transportation Committee in the Senate, and it actually got assigned to the Rules and Legislative Procedures Committee. It's a toss-up on why bills go there. I know that some of you that have been around, oftentimes bills go to the legislative or the that particular committee. I just, for some odd reason, already flew out of my brain of what the whole title was. But it goes there to either die or it goes there to have an additional show of support and be recommitted. So sort of give people an idea as to what the journey will be with it. So we don't really know which one this is going to be, and we are going to continue to fight against it until basically we know that it can't come back. So Addison, does that help a little bit?
Yeah, it does, because part of what we're trying to do with our grassroots efforts is encourage folks to contact the chairman of what committees that this this bill goes through, and just encourage not have it a hearing and try to stop it in its tracks. We really want to make sure that this bill doesn't go anywhere far. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So we encourage you to reach out to your state elected officials, especially your senators, letting them know that you're not in favor of this bill if that's how you feel. One thing that I forgot to mention that's really important about this and how this bill effectively cancels the blue line is that it jeopardizes about $100 million in federal funding. So $100 million is a lot of it's a lot of money, and that would all go to the west end of Washington Street. So on your way to the airport, if you're traveling out there, and it would also part of that package around 10 miles of upgraded sidewalks, 500 new and upgraded ADA curb ramps, and 20 miles of new traffic lanes, new traffic, new pavement. So really, it's just we're kind of throwing all these federal dollars for infrastructure over there if this bill goes through. So it's not a good thing. So I think anything we can do to stop it is important.
Yeah, and something that I guess what is frustrating for, I guess is the word I'll use for this, is that this whole build out of Indigo's system, including the rapid transit lines, this has been 5 years now, almost, it's going to be 6 years that that a referendum was approved by the voters of Marion County by like almost 60% of the voters of Marion County said that they want this dedicated funding for transit, which includes all of these rapid transit lines and one of which that they're trying to get rid of now. And so it is something that we have been talking about for a while now, and we actually took the time, AARP did, to ask the voters of Marion County how they're feeling about this, and that's something that that we just released. And if you go to the website, aarp.org/in, you'll see it there, where you'll see some of the results from that survey, where we talked to over about 600 registered voters in Marion County, 18 and over, obviously, because they're registered voters, so they got to be 18 and over, and asked them kind of what their opinions are about this. And, the results, I kind of got off on another screen here. So we got 87% of registered voters believe that it's extremely or very important to have Indigo available in Marion County for all residents. They think 69% thinks that it makes Indianapolis more competitive. And then I think the thing that is interesting about this too is because, we also asked about the things that Addison, you just mentioned, the sidewalks, the bus stops, the things of that, like the crosswalks, those are all that infrastructure that gets built out with this. 9 out of 10, so like almost 90% of people support that. And then when you talk about the dedicated bus lanes and the raised platforms, so for that level boarding, 3 out of 4 voters that we talked to support that. So this idea or notion that this is something that people don't want is just not, it's just not true. So, I mean, it's something that I think is also another source of frustration that we have that's going on. So that is, and I see Amber is masking up at the office.
Good.
So
It's
somebody,
healthy.
yeah, that is the correct. We encourage everybody to do that and take care of themselves. So
sorry guys, we have some people in the office, so this is interesting.
there you go. There
It's a
you
good
go.
look.
It looks good.
Thanks.
Jason, one thing I wanted to point out is that this bill targets dedicated lanes. Just the last thing I'll say about this, in 74%, as you mentioned, nearly 3 in 4 voters support restructuring the streets or the road for dedicated lanes in level boarding. So this bill is just not, it's not reflecting what the majority of the voters in Marion County want. So I wanted to underscore that fact, because I think it's misguided.
Yeah, I agree. And so, I mean, we'll be in the mix on this for a little bit. We'll see where it goes. Stay tuned. And, I think we'll get everybody engaged as we need it, because we might need you. So get ready, folks. At least everybody can get in the mix on this because it can impact maybe where you live if you decided they wanted to do something along these lines. But especially for those of you that are in Indianapolis or in Marion County, it's important to hear from you here. So,
and Jason, hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay, sorry.
Yep.
I wanted to make sure that I specified that the rules and legislative procedures in the Senate, Senator Bray, who is the president pro tem, is actually the chairman of the Rules and Legislative Procedures Committee. We have also spoken with Senator Kreider, and the reason why I bring that up is because if it were to be recommitted, we would assume that it would go to Homeland Security and Transportation, and Senator Kreider is the chairman of that committee. So
sounds good. What else are we? So that's one thing that's on the horizon. That's kind of a big one. But what are some of the other things that we got that you got into these last few days?
I think I can take this off now, so we're good. Thanks for bearing with me on that. I wanted to bring up that we did testify on several bills this week because like I said, they were being assigned and heard sometimes in less than 24 hours. But Senate Bill 13 is the Select Commission on Passenger Rail. And basically, it just establishes the Commission on Passenger Rail to kind of talk about how passenger rail can maybe be looked at, advocate the legislature on behalf of to make sure that if there are funds available, that we can start looking at how that would really go about to be used. And the reason why I think it's important that we're talking about this is that there are federal funds right now that can be used both on obviously a federal level and a state level around rail. And so it just would be really amazing if this commission could kind of come together, talk about those funds, how they could be used, and really maybe strengthen rail in the state of Indiana. Addison, did you have anything to add on that?
No, I mean, I would just echo that it puts the state in a good position if this is passed and the governor signs it. And I remember for all the federal funding that's going to hit our state eventually, I remember last year reading in the news that Governor Holcomb supported this rail commission. So I hope that it goes far. And I believe it's Senator Cruz who is the author of this, right? It's
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, long time senator in the east part of the state. And I think this is his last session, so hopefully this will be a good send off for Senator Cruz, and this passes. So yeah, so we're
Absolutely.
very supportive.
I appreciate you bringing that up. It passed out of the committee 5-3. So we will kind of hopefully help guide that through the process and get it over to the House and be able to sort of ask the chairman over there to give it a hearing as well. So we'll keep you posted on how that moves through the process.
Yeah, there were some train fans in that committee.
Yes,
that
yes,
talked about how
absolutely.
it was a lovely way to travel. So hopefully we do something with this here. And I got a phone ringing here. Sorry.
There's a lot going on. Just even for a Thursday evening, it's there's a lot. Oh, I just said the day, but
No, it's fine. We're recording this on a Thursday and going to come out on a Friday.
Jason was frozen there for a minute too.
That happens. So what else we got going on?
Yes. So moving right along, we will talk about House Bill 1203, which is the closed captioning bill. What does that mean? Basically, this bill, we have worked on it several years in the legislature, and it basically just requires businesses who have televisions in their facility, and I guess small businesses, bigger businesses, it's anyone that would have a television in where people come to eat, to enjoy themselves, whatever is going on, they would have to turn on the closed captioning on their televisions. There are a few exceptions in the bill. If the TV is, not capable of having closed caption, they obviously would not have to turn it on. And they're just, if someone does not turn it on, there is some language in the bill that would fine them $75 if a complaint was made. And the good news is that if they were to fix it in 30 days, they wouldn't have to pay the fine. So this is just so that individuals, wherever they are, can be a part of their community. They can feel as though they are, not socially isolated, especially at a time where we all seem to be still sort of having to do that. But we are working with a coalition of individuals and community partners. It was held in committee. There were some concerns around the fine and just, how businesses would have to comply. And if, they had trouble complying, there was just a few things that need to be worked out, and we're gonna work with the committee and the chairman and the author to sort of see if we can come to some sort of a compromise on some of that language. So, Jason, did I miss anything?
No, that sounds about right. It seems like there's a little bit more work to do on it, but it really just kind of like coming down to being inclusive, to folks, and it's not necessarily for just people that are deaf or hard of hearing. There were several people on the committee that said that they prefer to have the closed captioning on at home just so they can read it. I think one of the representatives talked about like they're watching something when they're like, wife's asleep. So they're just trying to be respectful of that. And so there was a lot of folks besides just like the hearing folks. It's also, the deaf community, but also people that are, English as a second language. And some of that is kind of helping to make them a little bit like, get them more acclimated to kind of their surroundings and the language and things of that nature. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it moves forward.
Absolutely. I am looking for my next bill, so we'll keep you posted on that. And the last bill that I have to bring up is House Bill 1087, and it is the Dementia Services Coordinator bill. Basically, it would just require the division, which is the administration, to employ a full-time statewide dementia coordinator. And I think that this is very important to talk about because, we look at this from a perspective of there are a lot of things that are happening and that could happen if there was a actual dementia coordinator, whether that was talking about expanding adult day centers, whether it would be talking about dementia-friendly communities. I just feel like there would be a lot that could come into this since it would be a sole focus of that individual. And so we obviously stood up and supported it, and it passed out of committee 10-0. So it does get recommitted to Ways and Means since it is a position and would need funding. But again, what we talked about and what was brought up in committee is that there is federal funding. And we would hope that we could tap into some of that funding to at least cover that position through, I think, 2024. And then, yes, we would have to figure out ways to continue to keep that position employed as far as funding goes. But it looks very promising. And so it got recommitted to Ways and Means. Hopefully we can get a hearing on that next week and keep that moving.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You have an aging population, the likelihood of people being impacted by dementia is going to increase. And so if you can have that kind of singular person, that's their focus and that's what they're working on, I feel like that'll be very helpful to a lot of folks in our state.
And Jason, we forgot to mention also, it would be something that we could also talk about around caregivers who are caring for loved ones with dementia.
Yeah.
That this position might be able to help find more resources, figure out other ways to really support those individuals as well.
That's huge. So hopefully it keeps on moving along. All right. What else? Is there anything else we need to, any other bills?
Well, I think
we need to highlight.
I will just highlight the bills are, there are still several bill lists that we have to go through. The odd thing is that next week will be the last full week for committees before, committees could meet until about a week and 2 days, but I'm just saying next week is the last full week of meetings, committee meetings before we go into deadline week. So hang in there. Like I said, there's so much left to either try to get a hearing or it will die. So we have to really work really hard. There's just some other topics. There's some housing bills out there that we're going to be really fighting for. I'm trying to think of what else is out there that I'm not thinking of because there are so many bills right now and we're just shuffling through them.
A lot going on. So I appreciate you telling us to hang in there. Amber, you hang in there. There's a lot going on over there. And you got a lot on your plate there. So we appreciate you. Cool. Well,
we'll be back. We'll continue to keep everybody updated on what's happening.
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, telemedicine. Sorry, I forgot. There's a lot of telemedicine bills too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
It is important. Yep. If these last going on 2 years have taught us anything, telemedicine, quite handy. And quite important in this current environment. Cool. All right. Well, are there anything? Did you have a shout out for folks?
I can do a quick shout out. Yes, before we let everyone go, I think I would like to give a shout out to our volunteer legislative team. I know times have been interesting, but they have been hanging in there, and we met this week and they are right out of the gate advocating on behalf of our issues and making sure that their voices are heard, as well as our members across the state. So I would really like to give that shout out to them. I couldn't do what I do without them. And I know that there's just a lot of issues this year that they're interested in and that they will be contacting their legislators and still working with everyone just like we do every year. So it might look a little different, but we're still here. And I also wanted to just say thanks to all of the AARP Indiana team. These last 2 weeks have been, to say the least, a bit difficult, but everyone has been helpful and we're off to a great start. So I thank you for all of your efforts and your work and for dealing with me.
I concur. I should be given a shout out for dealing with you. So actually it's probably the other way around. It's at this point in time where Dan is going to remove me from the stream and it's just going to be Addison and Amber talking. No. That's a good shout out. It's a great team. They've been hanging strong with us these crazy couple of years, having to do a lot of things virtually. So yes, shout out to them. Shout out to you, Amber, for hanging in there. AP for getting pulled into this Godfather 3 style back into this. So
Always a
for
pleasure,
those of you,
guys.
you know,
That was my favorite sequel, by the way, the third one. Anyway,
Really? You'd be the one. That was just really
just trying to be different.
no. Hey, look, I still think Rocky 4 is the best one. So, and I'll fight that one till the bitter end. But that's it. Look, that's a show for a different time and a different conversation.
Another podcast, yeah.
It's another podcast. We'll get into we'll break down the Rocky films. Well, maybe that's just my dream, not necessarily your guys's. Amber, anything else to add before we let everybody get back to whatever it is that they normally do when they're watching or listening to this?
No, I'm just excited to get this this information out there, and hopefully at a regular, sort of cadence again. I know things are a little insane, but we're gonna try to keep coming at you with the information.
They're coming at you is the correct term. So, all right. Well, on that note, we're gonna leave you to it. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Addison. Thank you, producer Dan. Thank you to all of you out there. Stay with us. We'll be in touch to get you in the mix on something, I'm sure. But in the meantime, until the next time on the Legislative Director talking about legislative things, we will see you then.